Tuesday afternoon, she brought a man into my living room and said to me, "David, this is Jack, my college classmate. He's my business partner now." Jack held out his hand with a textbook smile. I shook it. His hand was very dry. Emily added, "Jack's a really great guy. From now on, if we ever need help around the house, fixing things, moving stuff, we can call him. Totally trustworthy." I nodded and said sure. I didn't think much of it at the time. Jack started showing up more and more. The frequency was reasonable. The reasons always solid. Emily's gallery was hosting an exhibit. Jack was the curatorial consultant. The fence in our backyard broke. Emily said Jack knew carpentry. My car was in the shop. Emily had Jack drop her off at yoga on his way somewhere. Every time. She told me in advance. Her tone casual. "Jack happens to know how to do this. No need to bother a professional. Jack's happy to help. Jack's a friend. Paying him would make it weird." Jack became a friendly background presence in our home. He came up in dinner conversations, in weekend plans. He fixed the dishwasher, unclogged the drain, even recommended a dentist to me. Emily would always smile and say, "See, isn't life easier with Jack around?" Gradually, something started to feel off. Not because they were physically affectionate, they never stood too close in front of me. What felt wrong was the familiarity. Jack knew Emily took exactly one splash of milk in her coffee. He knew she went to the gym Thursday nights. He knew the batteries in the bedroom AC remote needed replacing. Once, offhand, he even said, "Emily, that blue dress looks better with this." That dress had been my birthday gift to her last year. An outsider shouldn't know those things. I started paying attention. I kept simple notes in my phone. Not a diary, just facts. March 5th, Jack came over to fix the internet. Stayed 2 hours. Emily said gallery files needed to be sent online. March 12th, Emily had a cold. Jack brought chicken soup. Stayed 40 minutes. March 20th, day of my business trip. Jack happened to be going that way and drove Emily to the airport. Since April, Jack's name has come up 17 times. About once every 2 days. They thought everything had a legitimate explanation. Classmate, business partner, helpful friend. As long as there were no photos of hugging or kissing, they thought there was no evidence. Until last Saturday, we were in the kitchen. Emily was again talking about how Jack had helped resolve a tax issue for the gallery. I looked at her and suddenly, very calmly, asked, "Emily, why did you turn an outsider into part of this household?" The glass she was washing slipped into the sink with a dull clunk. What do you mean?" Her face went pale. I said, leaning against the counter, voice steady. "Jack knows your menstrual cycle. He knows your dad's childhood nickname. He knows the song from our first dance at our wedding. He knows when I'm out of town and when I'm home. He even knows what brand of razor I use. You told him all of that, piece by piece. You wove him into our lives, dressed up every one of his appearances in a reasonable excuse. Now he's practically this house's default setting." Emily's lips trembled. "He's just a friend. He's helped us so much. You can't just because you're paranoid." I cut her off. "Then call Jack over right now, in front of me. Tell him you need him, not to fix something, not to help out. Tell him you need him as your man. Let's see if he comes." She didn't move. Her fingers gripped the edge of the sink. I took out my phone, dialed Jack, and put it on speaker. 3 rings. He picked up. "Hey, David, this is a surprise." His voice was as always friendly, with a hint of salesman warmth. I said, "Jack, Emily's having an emotional moment right now. She really needs you. Can you come to my house immediately? In the way she needs you most." Silence on the other end. A long silence. Faint traffic noise in the background. Then Jack spoke again. Cautious. Distant. Completely different from before. "David, I don't understand what you mean. Emily and I are good friends and business partners. If there's a problem between you two, it's not appropriate for me, as an outsider, to get involved. I think you've misunderstood." "I haven't misunderstood," I said. "You just don't want to take responsibility for the role she gave you. Classmate, partner, helper, you're happy to be all of those. But the role of lover? That one you won't claim, because that one doesn't come wrapped in a reasonable excuse, right?" He hung up. Beep, beep, beep. The sound was loud in the quiet kitchen. Emily stared at my phone like it was a monster. Her face shifted from white to gray. The stage she had carefully built, its curtain had been ripped down. On it stood not the passionate leading man she expected, but an ordinary actor desperate to exit and clear his name. Emily managed a single syllable and couldn't go on. He retreated. I said for her, because your perfectly reasonable setup gave him the perfect escape. He was just helping, just being friendly. He never crossed a line, legally, socially. He's clean. It's you who turned my wife into someone he could enjoy under the label of friendship, free of charge and free of responsibility. You turned our marriage into his zero-cost affair playground. Emily collapsed into a chair. Something in her eyes shattered. Not heartbreak, something else. A belief. She thought she had designed a brilliantly clever game. She had given an affair a job title, a position, a salary of reasonable explanations. She thought that made it safest. She didn't realize that when everything is laid out, betrayal isn't a single moment of passion. Betrayal is the entire system. Every casual mention, every reasonable visit, every layer of credible disguise she personally wrapped around him. The system itself is the evidence. We started divorce proceedings. It was calmer than I expected. No screaming about catching someone in bed. No vicious fight over assets. Just a list my lawyer prepared, records of how frequently Jack was involved in household matters and in what capacity. It was cold, objective, full of detail, more powerful than any photograph. Emily tried to explain once. She said, "We actually didn't do it that many times. It doesn't matter." I told her, "You made him a routine part of our marriage. That's what matters." Jack disappeared. Completely. He blocked Emily on everything. I heard he was afraid of legal trouble, afraid that an inappropriate friendship might hurt his business. Clean and efficient, he evaporated from the life he had once been so naturally part of. On the last day of moving out, Emily stood in the half-empty living room and suddenly said, "I thought, as long as everything looked legitimate, it really was." I didn't respond. I picked up a box and walked out. The sunlight was harsh. Suddenly, I found it almost funny. She'd put so much effort into dressing up an affair in layers and layers of cover. In the end, once those layers were stripped away, what showed underneath wasn't naked passion, but something uglier, a carefully systematized betrayal she directed herself, only to have everyone else see it as a joke.